introduce themselves and have them introduce themselves, and then we'll go from there.
Hi, hey everybody. My name is Julio. I predominantly am up here because of my organizing. So I work with the American Civil Liberties Union. They're a legal organization that focuses on constitutional rights. Specifically, I work in the racial justice program. So what we do is we really organize around cases and situations that we think are run discriminatory and against, especially people of color. And so we try to organize and build a lot of people power, especially throughout southern Minnesota. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to talk about this, especially in this medium. Thanks.
Peace, I go by Dispute One. I'm a local MC from St. Paul, south side of Minneapolis. Been at this since 1995, believe it or not. Kind of one of the first people to have a full-length project out before Atmosphere and a lot of the things kind of blew up. We were part of a crew called Headshots, which was a collective of like all the MCs from all over the city. We pretty much came together. We were like one big Wu-Tang for the underground, and then everybody kind of placed themselves in the position they are now. So currently, I run a podcast called the Core Culture Podcast every first and third Sunday, which covers hip-hop culture, media, and everything within that. I'm a part of the Twin Cities Omega Zulus, which is the Zulu Union. It is a new division from the Zulu Nation. That's something you can speak to me about in regards to that, but that's community-based organization as well. So we are here for hip-hop, and that's what I stand for.
What up? My name is Mike. I go by DJ Shoba. I've been in the Mankato area for probably the better half of 17 years. Started DJing about then. It was sort of a natural transition from skating, another outlet for me to, express myself, do my things. And I DJ a lot of live shows. I collect vinyl, and classic breaks, original samples, and I typically mix them on authentic 1200 turntables with their hip-hop versions. So it's like a breaks, you know what I mean? Archaeology sort of thing.
We love you, DJ Shoba.
Dope. My name is St. Paul Slim. I am a St. Paul artist. Been doing hip-hop since probably 1991. I'm a part of a crew called Concepts. We was like the rivals to Headshots. Let's see, I'm a part of one of the largest music groups in Minnesota, Stop House. If you guys don't know, Stop House is where Prof got his start. He signed a rhyme series now, but Stop House still handles his business. I run my own art business as well. I do abstract graffiti. I have painting in a landmark center. I got 12 paintings in the Attorney General's office. I do murals and stuff like that. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming down. For those that traveled, I really appreciate it. And just your openness and desire to be involved in something like this that's even outside of your community. So I appreciate that. And then also for Julio and DJ Shoba, for you guys, representing part of Mankato here too. I appreciate that. So the topic is love and struggle. And the first question I have for you all is, what do you love about hip-hop culture?
I'll kind of get that started off. I took some notes, and I figured the rest of this panel is pretty much into music, so they'll pick up where I started. Hip hop overall, it's community and acceptance. I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've learned throughout 20 plus years of doing music. hip hop is such a viable commodity that everywhere you go with it, it's worldwide, it's just universal, and it's something that we as people of color created. And it came from a negative space and it became positive. So for me, it was all about the acceptance of it, being able to get some form of a platform, and I could go from just being Alphonso to Dispute One and represent how I feel about the world and it be accepted in that sense. So for me, it was community and it was acceptance.
I'll say what I really appreciate the most about hip hop is it's certainly the art form. I'm a big fan of all four elements of hip hop. I really appreciate the fact that it's like maybe the youngest of a lot of genres of music, however, has crossed more than global. It's like wrapped all the way around the world. In every facet of marketing and development, advertising, like hip hop is, without a doubt, probably the most predominant music genre that is oftentimes not noticed, but it's everywhere. So from like breakdancing, graffiti writing, MCing, and DJing has spawned this sort of like, I don't know, it's massive. It's very impressive to me, and I appreciate that an art form can do something that way. Yeah.
What I love about hip hop is the creativity of it. I was born in 1978. I watched hip hop grow from just some stuff that was not even supposed to be anything to, like he said, it's everywhere. You know, seeing graffiti writers go from tagging up trains to designing shoes. You know, people doing music that run Fortune 500 companies, you know, and it's all based off of creativity. It's all based off the creative process. You know what I mean? Like the mind being infinite and thinking of different ways to grow a rose out of the concrete. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I love about hip hop. I've always done hip hop. I've always looked to hip hop for inspiration, and I know, you know, a lot of us in this room, especially the panelists, always look for hip hop for inspiration. Hip hop has taught me everything I know about creativity, and a lot about life, you know, and that's what I love about hip hop.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to go off of this this inviting kind of idea that the hip hop culture gives. I think it also, to me, gives me belonging in the sense of like hip hop is revolutionary, right? Like it's the beginnings, it's what it is now. It's a mirror, it's a reflection, it's a catapult. You know, as a Latino, like I feel this connection with it that that also makes me ask, you know, what is American? And the fact that hip hop is uniquely American is a really cool counter. Like to me, this thing that it not only is American, but it has to belong to America, right? Like you can't speak about American history and the present day without speaking about hip hop in the way that yeah, you can't. And so I was in Bogota, just a real quick story, in the mountains, and I saw, you know, speaking Spanish, these people. And in this little plaza, these kids started listening to Ray Balvin. At this time, he had like turned into trap music, and all of a sudden they start breakdancing in the middle of this like what looked like this church, right? And to me, it was like hip hop was there, right? And it was American. And they asked me, you know, where I was from, and so they started asking me about hip hop artists, and I was like, at that time, I felt American. Right? Like I felt like, oh, I'm from this place more than I ever even almost felt here, right?
Yeah, I think for me too, you know, hip hop is something that you are. It's not something that you do. So right now in this moment, for people that have never been to anything hip hop related, you are in it right now. It is your experience, it's your testimony, and nobody can take that away from you as far as how you interpret through the elements, as they had mentioned earlier. I love that I can just be fully immersed in it. Like right now in this space is very safe. I feel very safe. I feel like we can talk about anything here. And if I'm being honest, I struggle with anxiety, so especially in these kind of spaces. But yet, right now, I just feel like we're all on the same page. We want unity, and I think it's represented here just by all the people. We've got different backgrounds, we've got different races, religions, everything, and hip hop brings that together without any kind of discrimination. So I really appreciate that. Second part is, what do you struggle with regarding hip hop culture?
Okay. It's kind of a double-edged sword when you're dealing with hip hop in general, because the things that make it beautiful also can make it ugly, because the fact that it is so worldwide and it is so fully accepted, it came from a place of struggle, and a lot of people who appropriate it, and that's the exact word I'll use, appropriation is the scenario here. It's a culture that derived from people trying to make change and make positive corrections in your life. There are a lot of people who sponge on it now and just realize there's a momentary gain for it, and they go, that's what I want to do, I'm hip hop. But they don't understand that's not hip hop. I mean, you got hip hop and you got rap. You know what I mean? Rap is more commercial, more, yeah, it's definitely products and services. And then you have the culture is hip hop. And so for me, it's the struggle between trying to reflect the culture every day, not just on a weekend or when I'm on stage, but literally every day. Like everything I have on today is locally or it's someone else's product. Grandmaster Kaz, the basically godfather of hip hop in a nutshell. This is his shirt. This is my man Neil from THC, True Heads Clothing. This is his hat. These jewels that I have on right now, Soul Reflect, as well as the beads that are on my necklace. So every day I'm trying to represent someone I know and try to empower their business through the culture of hip hop. So that's my conundrum. I go back and forth with, do I buy something name brand when I could support this man, and this man at the same time? You know what I mean? And how do I feel at the tender age of 45 giving a damn about peer pressure? I really don't, so at the end of the day, it's about how you feel about it for me, so.
That's all really well spoken. I'm not quite sure. I have something is developed. Something that troubles me a lot with hip hop, my art form specifically, DJing, I rely on a pair of regular turntables. You ask me what DJ equipment is, it would be a regular set of turntables. The governing mixer in the middle of it, can vary and change based on, but for the most part, there's just two inputs. It's a turntable and a turntable. So the thing I struggle with is finding comfort in the idea of technology being like a boost towards your art, performance, sales. I mean, almost like what you were saying is so the money behind it. When people see that there's an option to like see good numbers and the earnings, that like companies will descend upon it like sharks, or with some sort of vampire to just suck the money out of people's pockets. But what I should finish up with is that I don't think that the electronics should be as necessary or as like essential for people's creation. It should be less of a priority, more about the culture or about the, the content, things like that, rather than high-tech stuff, I guess. I think it's a little unnecessary, but I collect vinyl, so it's sort of a pretty one-sided situation here, So that's what I mean.
No, that's for real, because, I wouldn't call it a personal struggle, but as a purist and an originator, I struggle with seeing the fakery. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, DJs, like DJs can't keep a party going. You know, DJs that slam in records and don't blend them in, and then, you know, or DJs who, you know, will call themselves a DJ out of convenience to get some money when they haven't like really studied the craft and done the craft. I struggle with you know, seeing that and being like, man, that's whack, you know, or just like hip hop classes, you know, in school, because hip hop was something that I didn't learn in school. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't learn how to rap in school. I didn't take a rap class. I didn't take a breaking class when I was breakdancing. I didn't take a breaking class. I learned from my neighborhood. You know, I learned how to rap from listening to older dudes in my neighborhood. You know, I learned how to scratch on a record by watching my homie do it in his room. You know what I'm saying? Like, graffiti, I sat next to a kid in science class that was drawing and doing and like making these putting these pieces on his notebook, and I asked him like, yo, show me how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't something that I think the organics of it is what I struggle with because of just being, you know, who I am and how I came into it. I don't think that hip hop should be taught in a university. You know, I don't think there should be classes where you got like it's a laboratory and there's like 30 sets of turntables and guys, you know, showing all of these people how to DJ. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Yeah, it takes a lot of the soul out of it. It takes a lot of the purity out of it, a lot of the sincerity out of it, but on a personal level, that's just me on the outside, like looking in at what people are, you know, doing as a hustle. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that you know, I'm not here to knock no one's hustle. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, keep it pure. You know, because you could still learn, you know. You could still be a connoisseur of it. You could still, you know, learn how to do everything. Just keep it pure with it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I struggle with, I guess.
Yeah, I think, you know, coming out of that, like, keeping things pure, I think, you know, both as, like, someone who is creating and as I'm consuming the art form, you know, I've been thinking a lot about how to, like, consume, especially, like, older hip-hop, especially rap. For example, like, I think a lot of hip-hop bought into a lot of myths, like myths of capitalism, like money is success, and you know, and as like someone who's trying to create, you know, I'm always thinking like, what is it teaching, right? And there's some rap that I can't listen to anymore, like with like trying to be conscious with it, and I just don't know. Like, I'll put out some of that Tupac, and I don't know how once you like, you understand some of the misogyny in it, right? You're just, how do I engage with that now, knowing what I do now, right? And so as someone who's trying to create, I'm also trying to think of like, what is what I'm creating teaching, right? Or what is it implicitly or explicitly teaching? So that's how it struck me.
So I want to say something a little bit again about loving the culture. So I actually lived in the Middle East for some time, and when I was over there, I mean, like he was saying, you can be in the middle of nowhere and you'll see the elements of hip hop, which is beautiful. You know, people that might not even necessarily understand the lyrics or know the artists, yet they're being influenced by it because it's not just music. It's not just the industry side. It's something bigger than that. And a lot of people, because it's a storytelling genre, I think anybody and everybody can relate to it. And I also find it just to be very therapeutic. Something that I struggle with, sometimes it's the way in how the elements are expressed. I can't really pinpoint it more than that, but just sometimes how, because we talk about the 4 elements, and I know with the Zulu Union, you guys have 5, is that correct? Okay, so with the 4 that we're referring to, it would be DJing, break dancing, MC, and graffiti artist. So those are the 4, which, by the way, if you haven't taken a look, Kendrick Dom is right around this corner, and he's been doing some aerosol art. But, I just think the struggle can sometimes be sometimes getting people outside of the culture and outside of even the genre specifically to give it a chance, because sometimes like Julio was saying, sometimes there's certain rap songs, or maybe even certain artists that trigger something for people, honey. So your mind goes there, and I've talked with professors and stuff at MSU and went in and talking to them about hip hop and how they can engage in the community and everything. And when I say hip hop, a lot of them are like, oh, my son, one time I got in the car and there was a bunch of like rapping and all this, and I was like, let me play a song for you by KRS-One, Hip Hop Lives, stuff like that. So I struggle sometimes with that, being patient sometimes with people to really fully understand what this is and why we all do it. And it almost becomes, I don't want to say a religion, but it's a lifestyle. It's total lifestyle, and can also just connect with you spiritually too. Does anybody else have, I only had those 2 questions. I kind of want to keep it light for the first time for the panel discussion. Anyone wants to finish up their thoughts or anything, you can.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a culture. I mean, and that's the reason why people feel it the way they feel it, whether there's a language barrier or not. I mean, it's designed to feel. That's what hip hop culture is. I mean, overall, I mean, it's the way I carry out my daily with hip hop is just by overall understanding that it is a culture. And just like anyone else that you encounter, if you don't know anything about that person, the first thing you should do is research. That's just always R&D. If you think like that in life, everything about you will be solid. You won't feel sensitive about the things you're hearing. You won't feel sensitive about the things that are going on, because research and development will save your life. If you don't get it, pick up a book. I mean, it's that simple. There are 1,001 books out there that could steer you in the right path. There are 1,001 books on hip-hop culture that could steer you in the right path. Or having a conversation with any individual like us that's just optimistic about the world, that says, I use this culture as strength. I don't use this culture to feed off of it. I'm not going to be a chupacabra and just suck. And next thing you know, it's just... That's it. That's hip hop. That's what's left of it, and that's what a lot of people do. And you have to, like she said, you have to actually define what you're listening to. You got to go, is this booty popping, shaking, twerking? Is this actually what I think hip hop is? Nah. It's entertainment at that point. If you start breaking things down, you'll see that a lot of stuff it's not a stereotype. It's not anything other than it's commodity at that point. You just go, damn, your Lauryn Hills and, your Jean Greys and your Rhapsodies. And I'm naming off female MCs because these are female MCs that have actually developed the culture to a whole nother level. And if you're not aware of them, you have to actually Google it, Wikipedia. You got a computer in your hands. I'm gonna just keep it 100. This is my little event and I'm gonna be done with it. You got a computer in your hand every day. If you feel the need to say, I don't want my children to listen to this or listen to that, you have to do what I like to call is be devil's advocate on that. Understand why you feel a certain way and then go view the reason why people are actually enjoying it. And you'll find a common balance in between and go, I definitely don't want them listening to this because this doesn't develop them. This does. So if you make better decisions in your choices of culture and your choices of what it is you want in your life, you won't have these problems. We won't have disagreements with each other. We won't view each other as opposites when we come together. So like you're saying, even at the college, and they're just like, oh, hip hop. It's like, well, tell me what you're listening to. Tell me exactly, you know what I mean? Before we go there, it's, you know, let's figure this out. It's an open dialogue. So have open dialogues with yourselves, with your relatives, young and old, about how they feel about specific things. And in reality, I just want to finish this, the sister that was talking about financial stability in the life, I mean, there's 3 things, and I'm glad that she brought that up. There's 3 things that I've told. I have 4 kids, 2 adults, 2 little ones. The 2 little ones I said before 12 are going to know 3 things, especially people of color. You have entrepreneurialism is one thing you need to have. You need to know about real estate, owning some things, and you need to know how to invest in something. By 12 years old, your kids should know what an ice cream stand is or what a lemonade stand is and how important that is, that they are making money for themselves, cutting grass, specific things like that. But that's hip-hop. Hip-hop did that. Hip-hop said, stop the violence. You know what? Let's dance. Let's break. Let's do this. Let's 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, 1973, August. You know what I'm saying? Go there. Think about it. The very first hip-hop party was a party. They raised money for school clothes. That's how hip-hop started. So if you really want to know, that's how it started. It was a school drive. Aight? Simple. Yeah, simple. We just had the 46th anniversary of hip-hop just the other day. So that's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, do the knowledge. Pick up a book. Talk to somebody.
Do the knowledge.
All right, so on your note cards, if you guys have them, jot down, you can take it with you too as far as if you took anything away from this, but any feedback, what you would like to see differently next time, and like I said, any topics that you'd like us to cover. I really want to be able to continue these kinds of conversations. And, next month I've got Truth Maze coming down. And I have Big Wiz coming down, and they're representing kind of from the cities. And then hopefully we'll have a couple people here from Mankato too. So, thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys stick around. We got more artists coming out. Oh yeah, hey, great idea. Do you guys have any questions? Do you want to say something? Because we have a little bit of time.
Oh, excellent. It's knowledge. Basically, yeah, that's you know what I'm saying? Not, drumline, brrr, knowledge, you know what I mean? The 4 basic elements, and the 5th is always going to be knowledge. I mean, you just always round it out, you crown it out. There's a lot of people that talk about there's 8, 9, 10 elements, but they're just really breaking it down. But it's just like they said, MCing, graffiti, DJ, breaking, and knowledge. Those are the 5 core elements, Exactly.
Anybody else have any questions or anything you want to add? All right, well, let's get back to these performances. Thank you, everybody that came down, and that was